Hey everybody, welcome back. Hope you guys are crushing it. We just wrapped up a deal this week. It was an interesting, creative deal, so I can't wait to tell you about it and let you know what I do right after I close a deal. So one of my favorite parts right after I close a transaction is put a sticker on the map behind me. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. That's a map of Michigan. We are in some other areas now, so we might need to get a bigger map. But as you can see, there's some red dots on the map right there, and that's one of my favorite parts after I close a transaction is getting a red star and putting that on the map. This one is right here in Monroe, Michigan, on the east side of the state. This was an interesting one. It did come in from Google Ads, and I was actually out and about when the lead came in, got in touch with the guy, but wasn't able to get too much information since I was away from the office. So once I got back to the office, we chatted some more, and I actually heard of somebody that was buying houses in Monroe, Michigan from inside my network. So I called them and was able to put together a quick deal. Give the seller what he needs, get the buyer a new house, and everything was looking good until the buyer went and walked the house and it needed way more repairs than what he thought it might. The photos did not show the true condition of the house, and that happens. This house, the guy was actually cleaning deer in his garage, which is very interesting, but pretty cool, but it just was not what a buyer was looking for, right? So anyway, the house needed some extra repairs. The buyer couldn't pay the number that I agreed upon with the seller. So we had to get creative. I reached out to many other people in my network and tried to make it work at that price we had originally agreed upon with the owner as a cash offer, but it was looking more and more like that number was not going to be possible. So I kind of told the seller, hey, look, if we can't go any lower on a cash offer, I don't think I'm going to be able to put this together. But what was really cool about this transaction is it pushed me. It pushed me on the seller side and the buyer side to get creative and maybe get a deal done that wouldn't have been able to get done otherwise. The way I was pushed is the seller kept reaching out to me and wanting me to get this transaction done. He was in a spot where he was just ready to be done with this house, and however possible, he wanted to be done. So he kind of said, hey, look, hear me out. I've heard of people selling houses creatively, creative financing or subject to the original mortgage. And he wanted me to see if I had somebody that could give that a shot. I'd never done anything like that, so it was definitely a stretch. And usually I try to stay in my lane so I can get better at what I do. But I gave it a shot for him. I reached out to just a couple people. I put it on some Facebook groups to see if anybody had ever done anything like this. And then a buyer from my past actually reached out to me. His team reached out to me and we chatted through what a subject to transaction might look like, where basically the buyer starts making the mortgage payments for the seller, keep that in place. I don't know everything about it, right? But I was willing to listen to both sides and see if we can mediate that and put something together. So what I ended up doing, since I'm not the expert, is I got the buyer's team on the phone with the seller to help explain this whole process and see if it might be a win-win on both sides. And sure enough, it ended up working out. It was awesome to kind of be on the sidelines and watch how this all came together. We ran into some title issues. We ran into just an extra timeline. We had to wait for it to close, but the seller stayed in touch with me and the buyer worked hard to make it happen. I'm super grateful for both sides for pushing me to see what's possible, and it's just exciting to have a new tool in your tool belt that if the numbers don't always work on a cash transaction or just listing the property, maybe this is another option we can help a seller by doing. So I know there's a few different ways to do it and I'm still learning everything, but just want to share that it's totally possible to do things you maybe didn't know you were capable of. Just putting yourself out there, having these conversations, maybe taking a risk that you might not have otherwise can help you learn big time. What's awesome is I was able to close a transaction through it, so it was worth my time, right? And we have a property that we now get to work on with the buyer. We established relationships throughout it. But the main thing I took away is a learning experience, right? I know this is possible now. I've heard of people doing it. But if I wouldn't have been open to that when the seller pushed me to try something new, and then open to having the buyer explain to me and the seller what this would look like, this wouldn't have got done. So I'm super grateful that God brought another opportunity and showed me another thing I can do to stay in this business and continue to market to these sellers, continue to help these sellers, and then be able to keep this going. Basically, all in all, the seller was able to get out of an expensive mortgage and get to a place that was more affordable to them and better suited for them and their family and his business. And the buyer was able to get a new property to work on and eventually resell it to a family one day. So I was just the middleman in that. I got the lead from Google Ads, spent a lot of time on the phone with both parties, and then got it to the closing table. That's basically it. I'm in a spot right now where I'm relearning this business, and everything I can do to open up my mind even bigger is super helpful. You know, from doing transactions in a different way to doing transactions in a different market. That's all new to me, and that's okay. I'm taking action daily and sowing the seeds, learning as I go, but it's exciting when some results happen. This is the second deal I've done from Google Ads this next go around, and I look forward to doing more. I'll keep you guys updated on the journey, what's working, what's not, but this is something that was working. If you guys need help with any transactions or you just want to share some wins or some positive things, feel free to drop a comment down below. I look forward to hearing about what you got going on and seeing if there's anything I can do to serve you or pray for you. Talk to you soon. God bless. Bye-bye.